So, I heard you're looking for a go-to source for entertainment.
Wait for it.
Gaming?
Wait for it.
Anime?
Plus Ultra!
Mr. Eric Almighty and Phil the Filipino? Yeah, they've got you covered. And all you gotta do is... wait for it. This is the Wait For It podcast.
Admiral! Admiral, do you copy? We've been ambushed! It's coming right for us! Ah! Run! Aurelia, get behind me! We can't outrun this thing! We have to fight back!
Come on! Yes! Extraction is complete! Cover me!
Damn it, we're surrounded! Not a chance! You're not going anywhere!
One down, 3 to go. Perfect. The rest of you are mine.
Attack! No survivors!
Get everyone to safety, now!
I'm on it! Evacuate the surface! Secure the power cell! And leave everything else behind!
I just need one shot! Just one opening! I'm right here! Aurelia, do it now!
You belong underneath the sand! I'll rip you to pieces, you disgusting freaks!
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wait For It podcast. I am your co-host Phil Smith, aka Phil the Filipino, and joining me as always is your other co-host, Mr. Eric Almighty. And Eric, we are here with the November edition of Creator Spotlight as we get closer and closer to the end of the year. I am very proud of ourselves for continuing to find awesome guests to talk to on this series. This month is going to be no exception. A guest that we have been trying to navigate and schedule to get on for a few months now, ever since we met him back all the way back at what was it, Brick City in the beginning of the year. Oh, yeah. And here we are now, Eric, and I cannot wait to bring everybody this conversation.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting. The whole reason we created this particular series, the Creator Spotlight, was to find like-minded people who are both creative, whether that's content, their crafts, or anything like that, and coming together and having a conversation about what we love doing. And for you and me, Phil, we've obviously loved pop culture enough to be doing a podcast. And you know, with me, I'm a huge fan of anime. We're both fans of animation in general. So it only made sense for us once we saw some of the things that our guest Jacob is doing with his project. We knew we had to get him on board. And you may have heard of NovaStars AC at one of your local conventions. You may have seen some clips on social media. But Jacob, you are going to be our guest, our star of the show. How are you doing? And we would love to hear more about NovaStars, but by all means, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, guys. Thank you both for having me. It's an absolute honor to be here, and I'm definitely happy. Like you said, I know we've been trying to schedule it for a little while here, and I'm just happy to be here. The day's finally here. I'm happy to at least have some substance and content as well to talk about it and show you guys as well. It's the right time for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that with some of your scheduling too, you have been crazy going at cons, getting some events put together. So we would definitely love to hear not only how it all started, but as we go through the episode, any recent updates or new things that are going on. When we met you at Brick, it was quite an experience because we had not heard of your project at that point, but getting to see it visually and then hearing some of the people that are involved in this project was really, really cool. Jacob, kind of bring our audience through what is NovaStars AC? How did that conceptualize at first? And really, what is the story about?
Well, we're a new animated series, and we originally started as a comic book, and I can actually show you the first volume here. This is what we started with. Our first convention was actually Central Florida Comic Con, located in Lakeland, and that was 2022. And from there, we attended MegaCon and spoke with a lot of the voice actors and actresses that were there, most notably one named Christopher Sabat. And while we were there and mentioned our comic idea, we piqued his interest a little bit and talked with his agency. And sure enough, afterwards, he ended up agreeing to be the lead villain of our series. And something that's very, very interesting that I'm sure not a lot of people may know outside of hearing it on this podcast. Our name, and you can see on the logo behind me, is NovaStars AC. Well, Chris Sabat explained to us at MegaCon that his daughter's name is Nova. And when we originally reached out to him, because of the name, he just felt an instant connection, and here we are.
That's amazing. That is so fantastic.
It was meant to be.
That is great.
It was awesome.
Yeah, and getting the king of anime himself, I'm sure on your end was such an achievement. You have so many different people that have kind of gotten involved in this. I think I saw Bryce Papenbrook's name pop up. We're obviously big fans of his work. Met him at a con. Really super great guy. Megan Hollensheed as well is someone who we just recently met at Ocala Comic Con, I believe, Phil, which was really, really cool. Overall, I really think that you've got a lot of great things kind of lining up with this particular project. What kind of got you to do this in the first place? Like, do you have a background in some of these projects before? Have you worked on anything? Is this a passion project? Let us know a little bit about how you got into it from the creative process.
So really the creative process just started with me and my best friend, Anthony, and we would just get on Xbox Live, play games together throughout the weeknights and sometimes on the weekend. And originally it started as just an idea that we were kind of kicking back and forth. I was thinking actually zombies that played football and some type of story that we could maybe twist into that. And my friend Anthony, actually, he's the one that came up with the 5 alien species, the star and the name, and pretty much kind of pieced it together himself. And throughout talking over Xbox, it just grew and grew and grew. And like I said, eventually it turned into this here, which was our first comic. And we really knew we wanted to get involved into some type of animation, but we did not know it would be like a full-fledged anime series or have production at least trying to make it one.
Yeah, it's so awesome, Jacob. Again, to see kind of this project evolve over time. It's interesting that you mentioned that you and your friend were, just discussing this over Xbox Live. Is there some Mass Effect inspiration going on in what NovaStars AC is?
Oh, there definitely is. So that's definitely one of my favorite games of all time, one of my favorite series. That is Anthony's number one undisputed favorite game of all time. That's no question. 100%.
Well, please tell this guy here, my co-host, that he needs to play it. I've been telling him that you can probably skip the first one, but you can start at least 2 bare minimum and play 2 and 3.
That's exactly what Anthony told me. He's the one that introduced me to the series about probably, I'd say, 8 years ago when we were in college. And the same thing because the second one comes with that little kind of movie,
the comic
intro,
book, basically.
Exactly, which will kind of help you a little bit. So I did the same thing, but it was amazing. So we definitely did draw some inspiration from that. Absolutely.
That's super cool. I mean, obviously, you know, I gotta jump on the bandwagon. I know Phil gives me a lot of crap. My co-host here gives me a lot of crap for not jumping on it. I did play the first one a little bit. It was all right. You know, it was all right. I hear
the
really
first one's
picks
rough,
up
man.
Too.
Unless you're like, you know, a big fan of the series, and you know you're a completionist. The first one is a little rough, but that second one, man, throws you right into it. And like me and Jacob said, like there's a little graphic novel where you get to make all of the major decisions from the first game, so you're still playing as if, you know, all of your stuff continues. So, you know, you gotta hop on.
That's actually very, very interesting that we're actually on the subject of the graphic novel that's there for that game, because that's actually originally what I thought we might do with some of our visuals and what we try to do in terms of video. I just really did not think that the full-fledged animation and anime style that we've achieved was possible when we originally started. It really, really didn't get to that point until we started talking with the voice actors that we have, producers and animators that we have, as like we said, as it's just kind of grown and snowballed as it's continued to go.
Yeah, and I mean, it just looks like it continues to grow and get better and better. One of your recent social media posts, which I thought was really cool, was just kind of like the concept art compared to what it ended up looking like, which I thought was a really neat comparison. Like, now that it's becoming a reality, like, is this like the maximum of what you thought it could possibly be? Is it beyond your scope of what your dreams were going to take you for this? Or is it now that you're finally seeing it in action, are you like, yeah, this made sense. This was the only way we could do it now that we're here?
Yeah, now that we're here, it definitely feels that way. And most importantly, I'll be honest with you guys. This past weekend, we actually got to attend a convention called Miami TCG Convention. And that was the first time, not only that we got to present it in front of fans in terms of the episode, the first one being in a polished enough state to present it, we got to do so in front of the voice actors as well. So Bryce Pappenbrook, Megan Hollingshead, and Mark Britton, which are all three members of our cast within that first episode, they got to see the episode in person as well. And their reaction was just so important to us. It was awesome to be able to see the premiere with them, and they were really, really enthusiastic. You could tell they were being absolutely genuine. They loved the characters, loved the merchandise, and to have them as part of our panel and as part of the event, it really meant a lot. And I'll be honest, that was probably like the first time where it really felt real and definitely sunk in that we've got to take it up and keep going and keep building up.
What would be something that that would surprise people as far as a like a challenge, you know, converting this from page to animation? You know, what's something that you would tell somebody that would just like blow their mind as far as this process?
Definitely the language barrier. So the two main animation studios that we use are in Argentina, and then they're located in Indonesia as well. So Argentina, they're located a little bit closer to us in terms of hemisphere, so they're only about an hour behind, which is not that difficult at all. Indonesia, however, they're exactly 12 hours difference from where we are. So obviously when we're going to bed most of the times, they're on the other side waking up, getting ready for work. So I've definitely had some late nights and some early mornings. But the biggest thing I would say is the language barrier. Our concept definitely is not easy. It's pretty complex, and there's a lot of words like Tidun, Doskanos, Skelscythe. Those are just names of some planets. But there's even races, a lot of sci-fi terms that, you know, aren't part of an English language that you could just translate. And I'll be honest, for both of these studios to fully understand and grasp everything that we send them in terms of like the form of a PDF script with everything itemized and kind of described what we're looking for, it's just amazing for them to, you know, not fully, you know, speak English or have that fluent ability to be able to translate what I send over to them and make what you guys could see and what we're able to present. It's just awesome. It's really cool.
I never would have even thought about that, Eric, because obviously we talk about the language barrier when it just comes to sub and dub, which is obviously difficult as is. But I didn't even think about the animation side of it. Like when you're working with so many different people in different places all over the world, that is crazy.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely wild. And again, we can tell that a lot of work has been put into this. And I'm sure, Jacob, when you've been going to these conventions, you know, you talked about the reception by some of the voice actors. You know, absolutely, amazing to hear that. What has the reception been with the fans out there of not only this project, but people that are seeing it for the first time? Again, we've been keeping an eye on you since Brick, and that was all the way in February. Just fans from afar of just like, wow, that's a really cool project. Like, I want to learn more about that. I want to see how they're doing. That for us was our experience. What has been your perspective on the experience of people that you've been meeting at these conventions and who are seeing it sometimes for the first time themselves?
Oh, it's definitely been awesome. The hard part is, unfortunately, we can't just release everything that we want to right away. I'd love to throw the episode up on our YouTube channel right now, monetize it, and just make sure it's available for everyone. But we have to do things, obviously, in kind of an organized process and the way that networks and streaming services would want us to do. So just in case they take a look at the pilot episode that we have, both 1 and 2, and they decide they want to redo them entirely or make any changes at all, we kind of have to keep the cards close to our vest. And as of right now, the only way to view them is in this kind of presentable form of a premiere at a convention. And because of that, it's been a little bit of a struggle. A lot of the fans that are in attendance, they want to tell people back home, their friends, maybe somebody who couldn't make it there today, they want to be able to show them there. We get asked that all the time, where can we watch this? Where can we look this up? That was awesome. Very, very, very cool. Where can I find it? I want to show my brother, my cousin. He couldn't make it today. And we have to tell them, unfortunately, just follow us right now on social media, Instagram, NovaStarsAC.com, and keep following us for updates. And as of right now, we have a scheduled date to actually release both of our 2 episodes, our pilot and the second episode, early spring 2024.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, we can definitely relate to, as far as Eric and I even do with just podcasting, where like there's so much we want to share with our audience, but we got to be patient. We got to make sure that it's a full-fledged idea, and then lo and behold, the time will come. So I definitely get that. Eric, you know what him talking about that reminds me of? Remember that Star Wars show that was produced by Seth Green that never came out, that we used to quote all the time?
Star Tours, I think it was called.
Star Tours.
Was that what it was called?
Like
no.
I don't know. It was like a Star Wars comedy done by Seth Green, and it never saw the light of day. It wasn't like the claymation. What was that Cartoon Network claymation?
You know why I said tours? Star Wars Detours. That's what it's called.
It was Star Wars Detours, and it never saw the light of day. So I remember just showing so many people that trailer, and then it never came out. It's just sitting on Seth Green's shelf somewhere in his
on
house.
A hard drive.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what's going on. Well, Jacob, we talked earlier about, obviously Mass Effect being a big source of inspiration. What else inspired you as far as this? And not even in terms of this story specifically with NovaStars AC, but just kind of in general, what made you, as you were growing up, what are some characters, TV shows, movies, whatever it may be, that inspired you to want to go into this realm as far as, animation and comics?
Oh, well, the biggest thing, I'll be honest, is just being a fan of anime myself. I have been since as long as I can remember. And as of now, most people, if you ask what their favorite anime is, they've been watching anime for a long time. A lot of the times, they'll go back to something they watched when they were younger, from the 90s, like early 2000s. But to be honest, at this point, anime's just continued to, keep climbing and climbing in terms of My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer. If you look at the entertainment arc of Demon Slayer, the animations, through that last final fight were absolutely insane. They must have like an infinity billion-dollar budget, if you ask me. I can't imagine how some of these things are possible. So really looking at that and thinking of the concept that we did, really the biggest thing that both Anthony and myself asked ourselves before we really started making some of the animations, even the comic itself, is there really isn't an anime for football. If you think about it, I believe there was one that was made a little over a decade ago. It wasn't too popular, and it was kind of just the standard, human style of football with a shonen tournament style that I believe led to the NFL or something similar. But it just wasn't anything that really was unique or out of the ordinary. And that's really what kind of pushed us in that direction. Is both Anthony and myself are massive fans of football. And we just kind of realized, let's come up with something that might be able to combine those two aspects. They've got really big fan bases, both anime and football, and it ended up just being a really cool concept. Here we are.
I was gonna say, you brought football up twice now. So are you a college football guy, pro, both? What's your flavor?
Definitely both. But I am an Arizona Cardinals fan more than anything in the NFL, for sure. As is Anthony. Both of us are, unfortunately, right now.
Hey, man, Eric and I are Jaguar season ticket holders, so we know how that struggle goes.
Yes.
Up until recently, we are being blessed, but
and even to start the season this year, we were like, oh no, not again.
It was rough. Here we go again. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, one of our favorite anime right now, as far as Eric and I, is Blue Lock. And, we're not really soccer fans, but, like, you are right. I mean, it is a space that is just ready for that type of any kind of sport. I'm now, with the volleyball anime being popular, anything can be popular, Eric. I'm convinced that can do any kind of sport. Isn't there a really good golf anime that people like too? I think you've told me about.
The ice skating, like you name it. There's probably an anime out there. But Jacob, you mentioned like football. Like I can't think of one. Like I don't even watch the ice skating one, but I know there is one. No, in football, I think that's absolutely right. And you kind of think about it too, like. And I don't know if this had anything to do with when you started this creative process, but football is becoming more international every year. To those audiences too. So just kind of curious, like with the spin that you're putting on both anime and then that football aspect, like, do you see this as something that you want to keep domestically as a hit? Hopefully that's the goal, right? Or are you really looking like bigger even than that? Or is that a cherry on top, that international kind of audience?
That would definitely be a cherry on top. But to be honest with you, the studios that we have that animate both aspects of the series, the one that's located in Argentina as well as Indonesia, both would have a pretty decent fan base to present that to once each episode's done. And to be honest, we'd be really happy with as big of a fan base as we can get. We're more focused domestically, probably located centrally here to Florida and the United States, but globally definitely is what we're thinking of course.
Yeah, I think that's super cool. I think sky's the limit, right? You went from going graphic novel, comic strip, like that idea to where you are now. So who knows what that next launching point is? I think that's just such an interesting conversation to have. And Jacob, as you're kind of transitioning again, you mentioned early 2024 as the goal to have that content ready to go and kind of going. I know you probably can't get into like what networks you're talking to. We totally get that. But I am just kind of curious, like, do you have any goals in mind for where you land? Like, are there certain kind of check marks that you need to clear and you want to clear for this to be released? Again, I know you mentioned you would be even happy monetizing it, throwing it on YouTube. But is there really like a dream scenario where when this comes out, this is ultimately what you would be looking for, without naming a network specifically?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So ideally what we have in mind is we want to create these 2 episodes and have them polished enough to where we can present them just like we have been through conventions and by videotaping and gathering content and video footage from those premieres, from that fan engagement, from that experience that can show networks what it's like to watch these 2 episodes. We hope to be able to use that as kind of like a pitch or presentation to sell ourselves, to get us to any type of network streaming service. But ideally, we definitely are, of course, aiming for Crunchyroll, Funimation, Hulu, Netflix, the big ones, all to name as many as we can. We don't really have anything specific in mind. We're pretty much open to anything, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, just getting it available for people to see, and it sounds like with the word of mouth that you are creating again at conventions, it's well on its way there. Especially if people are going to be telling other people about it. Word is going to get around and going to continue to get around, which is great. How were you before you started presenting NovaStars at conventions? Were you already a convention goer yourself?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Only I'd say by about a year though. Just after COVID, all the COVID protocol and everything got set into place, and we all felt safe going back out and safe putting out the events. That was actually the first time that I started going to everything. I know that's probably a weird time to start, but that was my first time attending. Was late 2021, 2022 when everything got back up.
Yeah, that is great. That is an interesting time.
Yeah, I know. Now that I'm saying it.
Well,
Definitely.
I mean, obviously, most of the guests we've gotten here on this particular series we've met through conventions. What are some of your favorite things as far as the convention experience goes? Not just from presenting NovaStars, but just kind of that crowd in general. What are some of your favorite things about that whole environment?
Oh, definitely the skill that goes into some of the cosplay fits that we see. I mean, to be honest with you guys, somebody needs to come up with a term that combines both cosplay and engineering and put them two together, because there's some stuff that's just absolutely just borderline ridiculous. I mean, I'll be honest, probably the craziest thing that I've seen so far is a Dr. Octavius that somebody made, where the actual mechanical arms, like the villain from Spider-Man, they moved. And I mean, they clamped and everything. They had some type of control system. I don't know.
Was that at
how it was
MegaCon?
done. Yeah, that was at MegaCon.
I think we saw that cosplay, Eric. I think
Crazy.
it was that year. I think we saw them at MegaCon one year.
That
It's
was cool.
insane.
The cosplays are getting absolutely wild, and I think I'd be curious, Jacob, if one of your characters was to be cosplayed. Like, that's the dream, right? Is somebody to be cosplaying your characters. Curious, what character would that be from NovaStars?
There's definitely a few. I'd have to think of the most practical, though. Would probably be the one that I'm wearing now. I don't know if you can see him, but this is Admiral Atlas. He's actually on the cover of the front here. So you probably only would need the helmet and maybe his mace, as well as some cool like cyberpunk style clothes. But that'd be definitely the one that I'd want to see. He's got a pretty cool color scheme, similar to our logo behind me. Some neon pink and blue colors that I think would be pretty cool.
I was gonna say cyberpunk kind of popped out there as far as the vibe a little bit, and then you got the mask, like reminiscent to me of like Star-Lord look, which I think people try to pull off and was like a huge thing. So I mean, absolutely in the realm of possibility, and cool name on top of it. So I think that is awesome. So Jacob, as we kind of start to wrap up the conversation, we'll have a little bit of fun to kind of end the episode. We like to introduce a couple of different games that we do on the podcast. Keep it light and keep it fun at the end. Where, if someone is interested in NovaStars after this episode, what's the easiest or best ways that they can kind of not only keep up with NovaStars, so a great plug for social media here, but how can they also figure out more about the lore and more about these details? If they want to learn more, are there any resources out there that they can leverage, or are we pretty much in that waiting period to 2024 for that release?
We definitely are in that waiting period until 2024 to have really the meat and potatoes of the information and lore that anyone would be looking for. But you can order volumes 1 through 4 of our comic series on NovaStarsAC.com. And the best social media to follow us on is just our Instagram, which is at NovaStarsAC. We post weekly and give weekly updates on the series there. And that's also where you can find our convention schedule appearances. And from there, really, seeing us at conventions is where you're going to see the bulk and the full episode in its entirety. But until then, we just, like I said, I have to tell our fans, unfortunately, like us, they got to be patient until 2024.
Well, all of that information is going to be in the show notes of this episode. And Jacob, we're just going to continue to keep our eye out for the next update. Are you going to be at any convention soon as well? This episode will come out, Eric, mid-November?
Yep.
Yeah, so do you have any convention appearances either the end of this year or the beginning of next year?
For the beginning of this coming year, we're definitely hopeful to attend Brick City Anime Fest in February.
We'll be there.
Attended last year. I know you guys will be there, so I'm pretty confident we'll be there as well. And that's when we're actually hoping to premiere episode 2. So that's our deadline. We want to have it ready by then. That way, if we are fortunate enough to be there, we'll have that ready to go.
That would be awesome. Well, yeah, we'll as mentioned, everything is going to be in the show notes, and can't wait to see you again, Jacob, and see what the next updates are going to be for NovaStars. Eric, before we transition into, again, a little bit of fun to wrap up the episode, any other questions you have for our guest before we get into that next part?
Yeah, no, honestly, Jacob, like I think that has been a really great way to kind of sum up, introduce NovaStars to our audience. We're going to be huge supporters, excited for that. And I mean, we get to brag a little bit. Like, we're going to be at that convention. If you're going to be there premiering the episode, like we're going to be your biggest cheerleaders, supporting you and showing that buzz. So we're super excited for that. Another reason why you should attend Brick City, especially if you're fans of the Wait For It podcast and now NovaStars. So definitely be prepared for that early next year. Jacob, the only thing I'll kind of ask before we get ready to play, we talked a little bit about some of your gaming interest and, your interest with anime. Is there anything else in kind of pop culture in general? Are there any other big influences with you, just on a personal level, maybe not even related to this project? For example, I kind of span all over the place. Like, I was a huge Star Wars nut. Obviously, me and Phil, very big into the MCU. That's actually one of the topics that got us into podcasting starting off. We wanted to talk about the Marvel movies as one of those things. Are there any other pop culture items that like have really been prevalent for you and have impacted you individually as a person?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm very happy that you asked. So really, there's only one example that comes to mind, and that's the last season of Stranger Things. And if you go back and look at how that was produced, so much from that time period was reintroduced to new viewers today who are seeing that show for the first time. I mean, you look at Master of Puppets, the album that Metallica made almost 40 years ago. It's doing better numbers today because it was rediscovered again by a brand new audience and a bunch of people that went back to listen to that album, all because of a series that they saw on Netflix over a year ago. And a lot of stuff from that series is just kind of circling back from that time period. For example, the logo that you see behind me, the text is called Metal Lord, which I believe was created by Iron Maiden. And they use that text a lot in that series, as well as Blue Lightning, neon colors, and a lot of that influence just absolutely exploded out of that show. You walk into like a Hot Topic or any store like that in the mall or a shopping store when that season is new and ongoing, all that stuff's everywhere. The clothes, the posters, everyone goes crazy for it. And it just kind of rang in my head like a bell. All that stuff seems to be coming back. And before I knew it, we were including a lot of the similar concepts in our series, such as synthwave music, like I said, certain types of text, logo, and really a lot of neon cyberpunk style influence just kind of comes from that.
Man, I have a complicated relationship with Stranger Things, as Eric knows. So when
it's his favorite show.
When the when the most recent season came out, everybody was like, "You don't watch Stranger Things? You don't watch Stranger Things?" So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna shut everybody up. I watched all 4 seasons within the span of like a couple of weeks, and very much loved the first 2. Thought they were excellent. Wasn't so much the biggest fan of 3 and 4. Love Eddie Munson as a character. Love a lot of that arc. There were a lot of things in season 4 that I really, really enjoyed. Season 3, I think, has been my least favorite. And I'm going to ask you, like, because I think that show frustrates me because I think it could be great all the way through, but it does have like those lulls. Am I just being a hater, or do you agree that there are some missteps in that show that they're like, you could have made some better decisions there?
I'll honestly probably be a little bit harsh than you are. There is some cringe-worthy moments in the show. Definitely. Almost kind of like, I think a lot of the times they might have even been trying to paint the picture that they're young teenagers, going through awkward moments, but they ended up just being awkward moments for the people watching too. And I'm 100% there with you. It definitely had its kind of stagnant, flat moments there, but it was, in terms of season 3, one thing I will say about it is I did watch the behind the scenes pre-production for how they created the final fight with the like inside that food court where there are all the fireworks and everything flying around.
Yeah.
That was absolutely crazy. They used like a bunch of tennis balls and like socks that were covered with like green screen material to be able to, like I said, to create anything like that just by using imagination. And because obviously when you're physically acting and looking at stuff like that happening. It's pretty funny looking when you look through the behind the scenes stuff. For it to turn out like it did, it's pretty cool.
I mean, visually, it's always been stunning. I've always been visually a fan of the cinematography and all of that. But again, just as it kind of has gone on, I'm like, man. And then now, who knows when season 5's coming out because of the strike, which is a bummer, and you know, all that going on. But I remember, I mean, even the first couple episodes, our seasons, I was like, damn, these kids are good. They're such good actors. So, you know, I understand. My daughter is a huge fan of it as well, so she loves it. But yeah, Eric, we had to get some Stranger Things talk in for this episode. So.
You never know when it's gonna pop up. I brought up One Piece like every creator spotlight. It was about time that you brought.
Oh, there you go.
That you brought up.
There you go.
Stranger Things, but
we did pretty good.
So Phil, you have prepared a game. Usually, a lot of times for some of these things, I may be hosting some of these, but you actually are gonna host this one. So, what do you got planned for us as we kind of end with some fun on the episode?
So I changed a couple things on the fly just as kind of the conversation went on. So I did find a couple of Would You Rather. So we're going to go back to the Would You Rather first here. And since we are all gamers here on this episode, I have an interesting question that I came across. Would you rather only be able to play games that you have already played in your entire lifetime, or play only games that are coming out from this point on? And whichever one you choose, the other option goes away forever.
I mean, I feel like I've got to go with the games I've played. Because, I mean, yeah, games are going to get better, but, I mean, you know me. I'll go play BioShock again.
Yeah, Eric, we'll just play BioShock over
I'll just go play
again.
BioShock again, or I'll just go finally beat Skyrim and 100% it, since I missed my opportunity.
Nah, no, you won't.
I'll probably make the same mistake that stopped me from getting to 100% the first time. But, you know, I could always go back to some of those staple games that I think are reliable. And nostalgia is a big thing, too. Like, there's nothing that beats that nostalgic game getting to play it. You know, Jacob, what about you? This is a tough one. That's a tough question.
I don't know. I don't think it is that tough because, to be honest with you, the heartbreak of not being able to play the games that I have before, which I'm sure would include every Pokemon game I've already played, I couldn't do that. So I'm going with the games I know and love 100%.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I think I would be pretty happy with, you know, just thinking about it, like Red Dead, Pokemon Yellow, you know, some of the older Halos and stuff like that. I think I'd be solid. And we just got Spider-Man 2 in right under the wire, Eric. So
that is
true.
I guess the real question, Phil, is: are we going to get to play future seasons of Fortnite? Is that included on the future?
Oh shoot,
thing?
that's right. We do play a lot of Fortnite. Where does that
fall? Are we going to
fall?
not play Fortnite anymore? Because we've been pretty consistent with the cringe of playing Fortnite for like a decade. It feels like.
Hey, listen, man. The game it stays consistent and it's easy to hop into. So I am okay with that. So yeah, I thought that one was an interesting one here. The other one. This one is probably a little bit easier. Let me maybe alter it a little bit. Or actually, let me go with this one. This one's easier. Would you rather, for the remainder of your days, be able to only play single-player games or multiplayer games? Again, whichever one you choose, the other option goes away.
This one's interesting. Jacob, I'm going to let you go first. I got to stew on this one.
I mean, without multiplayer games, Jacob, where would we even be having this conversation right now?
No, I think I'd have to stick with multiplayer. I'd have to play multiplayer. That would just be absolutely awful. I mean, because either way, you have to compromise. But I think the feeling of like, you know, getting a text like, "Hey, bro, you online?" and having to be like, "Nah, I just can't play online games ever again."
I am, but terrible. I'm here by myself, so there's nothing I can do about it.
For that.
Yeah, no way I could do that.
Yeah, no, I think I got to go on board as well with the multiplayer games, just because, and you know, Phil knows this too. Like, I've got to really dedicate time and focus on a single player game. Spider-Man 2 just came out. I took a day off of work. 48 hours later, I was done with the game. I didn't mean to do it. I thought it was going to take longer. I just kept playing it. I just was like, all right, well, today is this. This is what I'm doing today. It's one of the reasons why I haven't played Starfield yet, and I really want to. And it's one of the reasons I'm scared as hell to play Baldur's Gate, because the second that's crossplay compatible, I'm gonna probably be diving a lot of time into that because I'm excited to try that experience. So with games, I feel like single player, I would just be literally so terrified of not having the time to play. If I picked single player, I just wouldn't play anything. That's what's gonna happen.
See, it's a little different for me because a lot of mine, Eric, you know this, a lot of my downtime, like whenever I'm just up late or I'm, just killing some time, like I'll play like a Madden or a 2K and throw on a podcast, and I can do that for hours, so, but I don't know that I could go without just kind of what goes with the multiplayer games is also the funny conversations that come along with it as well. So I would also have to go multiplayer, but it's tough, man, because again, I like my quiet time where I just shut my door and I play. I yell at Madden. I hate it, but there's no other option, so I have to play the game anyway. So that is what I will go with. But there you go. Just a couple of quick would you rather see here. These next ones, Eric, this is going to be a little bit different. So I just obviously stole this from TikTok because that's everything that we do is we just steal content from TikTok. And I again did a little bit of a audible here, and every food brings everybody together. So this is a list that FSR magazine put together of the top 30 full service restaurant chains in America, and I'm just looking for the top 5. So restaurant chains, and this came out earlier in the year, August 2023. So this is pretty recent. So the top 5 restaurant chains. What do you guys think in the country?
You said, did you say like full? You said full service?
Full service, yes.
So that means
so not like a McDonald's or a Burger King.
Okay,
like
that's
yeah.
Well, Cheesecake Factory's gotta be one. One of them.
It's no, Cheesecake Factory is not even in the top 30.
Wow.
No, wow. Okay, change.
Just kidding. It's number 11. I found it.
Okay. I was gonna say, I figured
keep scrolling. Yeah, it's number 11.
Okay. The top 5, we would know them.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. We've all been disappointed by meals at all 5 of these establishments.
Okay, good.
Wait, but I thought weren't these the best?
Oh, sure. Yeah, but doesn't mean that they're not terrible sometimes.
The best.
Yeah,
Olive Garden on there?
Olive Garden is number 1.
Let's go.
Let's go, Olive Garden.
Pasta.
Number 1. Yeah, I'm going to be really hungry after this, too.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to say, what about Longhorn Steakhouse? Because your hat.
They are number 9. Number 9.
Right.
So they are a top
9.
10. Yeah,
Okay.
so number 9.
Okay. I don't think anybody eats Chili's anymore, but I'm going to go Chili's.
Chili's is number 3.
Shocker.
Chili's?
Best? This is a best list? Okay.
People love margaritas, man.
I guess.
They do.
And free chips and
They
salsa?
do.
I guess so.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's a good point. Good point.
Number 3. So we got 1 and 3.
Well, if Chili's is on there, what about Applebee's?
Applebee's is number 4.
Wow.
All right, so I had to throw that up there.
Again, it's Dollarita time. They were experiencing a resurgence. It's a good time for Applebee's.
Yeah, put some Creed on that jukebox.
There used to be. Do you have, Jacob? Do you have an Applebee's by you that does karaoke? Because we do.
We 100%.
Yeah.
Why do you think I started singing?
Good. I'm glad we're all in the same Applebee's karaoke boat.
Great, yeah.
All right, we need 2 and 5.
2 and 5. So if Olive Garden's 1, what about Carrabba's? Another Italian.
Let's see. They're not 2 or 5, but I want to see if they're on this. They are number 22.
Okay,
Carrabba's is
those are
bold.
on
Okay. I wouldn't have guessed that. That's a good guess.
Some big hitters you guys are missing.
He said Longhorn was, and you said it was 9. What about Outback?
Outback is what I was going to
It's
say.
number 8.
Oh.
I figured that'd be up
Steakhouse
there.
is not getting a lot of love here. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you like a hint?
Yeah, why not?
Because you are in the steakhouse realm.
Oh.
Is what you're looking for.
In the steakhouse realm.
Well, it's Outback, Longhorn. They're all grouped together.
What's the steakhouse I'm forgetting about?
I'm trying to think of the same thing.
It's not Longhorn or Outback?
You guys are gonna be so upset. If you don't get
Okay,
it.
secondary hint. Does it say the word steakhouse in the...
No, it is not. It is not.
Okay.
What
What
other
about-
one would it be?
What about Red Lobster?
A Red Lobster. It is not. That's number 13.
Mm.
It's a good
All
guess though.
Third hint for the steak. Does it have the word house in it?
It does.
It's Texas Roadhouse.
It is Texas
All right.
Roadhouse.
Oh.
I could tell there was
Texas
some hesitancy
Roadhouse.
when I asked if it said steakhouse. You were like,
Yeah. Yeah, I
like a
tried
half
it. I was like,
answer.
I don't think so. All right, you're missing number 5.
Number 5.
I don't know if this counts as full service. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I was gonna say Five Guys, but that's not.
Mm-mm.
No, it's not. I don't think that counts.
Waffle House.
Waffle House. I
Ooh.
know I saw it on here. It is number 15.
That's a shame.
Still top 30. Not bad.
Red Lobster was a really good guess. I'm
It
kinda
was, yeah.
surprised.
I'm surprised. Yeah, me too. That's one I thought. I figured. I'm trying to
People
think
love
of something
seafood,
else.
man.
I do, man.
All the
Number
Golden
5.
Corrals are closing, right? That doesn't count.
That's number 12.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I swear, I
Where
feel
else
like
you gonna get-
we're losing them every day.
Meatloaf, nachos, and pizza.
And microwave mac and cheese.
Yeah, and then diarrhea the next day. Like, where are you gonna,
All 4.
where are you gonna get that? Oof.
All right, let's
five's
go
gonna
with
be
a
doozy.
let's go with a hint here. They got lots of TVs. Lots of TVs.
It's not TGI Fridays.
No, they are on here though somewhere.
Again,
18.
also another establishment I don't see a lot of anymore.
No, those are all closing too.
You got a lot of TVs.
Mm-hmm. Lots of TVs.
Is it Buffalo Wild Wings?
It is Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh, okay.
Number 5.
Okay.
There you go. To round out the top 10, 6 is IHOP, 7 Crackle Barrel, 8 and 9 Outback and Longhorn, and the number 10 is Denny's. So,
I was gonna say
There you
Cracker Barrel.
go.
That's the only other one I had.
yeah, there were
Cracker
7
Barrel was a good one.
right outside the top 5 there.
That top
so
5
pretty
list
solid.
can easily be a worse list on a
It
bad
could.
day.
It could go either
Dude,
way.
Yeah,
It
it
could go either
depends
way.
on who you ask.
Yeah. Buffalo Wild Wings, I have not had a good experience in a very long time. They got those tall glasses for beer, but that's about it. Everything else is pretty suspect. All right, to round it off, the very last one here, we have a top 10 list. This is also from July of this year. This is from Game Rant, who ranked the top 5 best video game consoles of all time. Again, we'll just go for the top 5 here to keep it simple. So the top 5 video game consoles of all time as ranked by Game Rant.
Got to go with the GOAT 360.
The Xbox 360 is number 8.
What?
Yep.
Ooh.
It's
All
not on
right.
the list? It's not a top 5?
It's not. It's on the list as a top 10, but it's not top 5.
What about the Nintendo GameCube?
I don't think the GameCube is on here.
Underrated.
It's definitely
GameCube's
underrated,
underrated.
but it's no, it is not on here. There are Nintendo consoles on here, but no GameCube.
Is the PS3 on there?
No PS3.
Well, the
PS2?
Nintendo 64 has to be.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's not.
All right, well, fuck it. A Dreamcast is on there then, because I don't know what else is.
The
I don't-
Dreamcast is actually number 4. There you go.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Dreamcast
I'm all right
is
with
number
that.
4.
I'm all right with that.
Dreamcast is number 4.
Never would have guessed Dreamcast if we didn't eliminate like half of the other consoles. That was a
Dreamcast is
random
number 4.
guess.
Now,
Huh.
would that include a handheld, like a Game Boy?
Game Boy is number 3.
Okay, I was gonna say Game Boy for sure. All right.
Yep.
Are there other variations of the Game Boy on this list? For
No.
the top 5, okay.
Okay.
Just wanted to make sure we didn't have to go down like
Game Boy Color, Game Boy. Yeah, no.
advanced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got 3 and 4, which is Game Boy and Dreamcast. You wouldn't have been able to put a gun to my head and guess that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you.
So I guess we're really liking that area.
I feel like number 1 would be pretty.
N64 is not on there. Then. That's interesting.
The SNES is Super Nintendo.
SNES is number 2.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Number 2.
Okay.
So we got 2, 3, and 4. We're missing 1 and 5.
Number 1.
Yeah.
The Switch isn't on there, right?
Number 5. Switch is number 5.
The Switch.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I can tell whoever made this list is just like a big Nintendo Sega fan.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty much there's a vibe going on here.
And then number 1, we're missing a big one.
The original Xbox.
No, not the original Xbox. No.
And you said no to the PS2, right?
Oh, it is the PS2. I only heard you say PS3.
Oh, yeah, PS2.
It is the PS2. Okay. Yep, PS2. They ranked number 1, SNES number 2, Game Boy 3, Dreamcast 4, Switch 5. Number 6 is the original PlayStation. 7 is the original Nintendo Entertainment System. 8, 360. 9, Sega Genesis. And then 10, the Wii. So there you go, Nintendo Wii. I mean, that was a super popular.
That's a little bit of a reach.
There's no way the Wii's in the top 10 and the 360's only at 8. I don't know who made that list, but they need to be imprisoned.
You can talk to Tom Bowen from Game Brand.
Shake him out.
Tom.
Shout out to Tom.
He never played Halo 2, apparently.
Yeah, I know. I guess he never played the right games, but there you go, guys. So those are the ones that I came up with. Hope you enjoyed them. That was fun. That was the first time, actually, Jacob, we've done top 10, top 5 lists. So you were the guinea pig.
Yeah, that's a good time.
That was a good time. It was fun.
Awesome. Well, Jacob, one more time, if you want to let our audience know before we wrap up where they can find all of your work as far as social media pages, keeping up with the show, and again, any convention appearances you're having soon, let them know where they can find all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, our website is just NovaStarsAC.com. You can find us on Instagram at NovaStarsAC. And pretty much, guys, hopefully we'll be at Brick City Anime Fest this coming February, and look out for episode 1 and 2, early spring 2024. That's really the only for sure thing I can say. We know we'll have it ready by then.
Absolutely solid. Can't wait to see that, Jacob. Going to be amazing. Thank you so much as well for giving us the time to be able to get this all together, to have a conversation about it, and we cannot wait to see what comes next. With that being said, as we wrap up the episode, Phil, for anybody that's listening still and it's their first time listening, let them know where they can find more of our content as we move to the closing of the episode.
Yeah, again, just a big shout out to you, Jacob, for joining us. I mean, again, with this series and also being involved in the convention scene, seeing people who are creative, putting their pen to paper, their mouse to a laptop, whatever it may be, and seeing it kind of come to life in this new journey for you has been awesome. So can't wait to see what is next for you. If you want to see what's next for not only Jacob, but also the Wait For It podcast, check the Linktree link in the show notes of this episode. You'll find everything you need, including all of our past episodes. You can also find our social media pages. Instagram and TikTok is where we are the most active. You can also support the show a little bit extra by sharing the episodes, tagging us, letting us know you're listening. You can also go on over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Leave us that 5-star review. Lets everybody know that we are doing a good job over here. And if you want to support the podcast a little bit extra monetarily, like our awesome patrons, Briar and Stefan do, Eric will let you know how you can do that.
Yeah, so in the link in the show notes, you can find the Buzzsprout website directly, and you can support us there monetarily, or you can shift that over to Patreon and get some exclusive perks like unedited versions and early access to episodes like the one you're listening to or watching right now. And of course, we truly appreciate our patrons and future patrons for their support. But like Phil mentioned, the little things go a long way. A like, a comment, a share, not just for the Wait For It podcast, but even for NovaStars AC. Make sure to give them a follow. Make sure to like their content and be along for the ride. It's going to be a good one. With all that being said, my name is Mr. Eric Almighty. That is my co-host, Phil the Filipino, and our guest, Jacob from NovaStars AC. Please remember, for the podcast, we release new episodes every Wednesday, and we also include bonus content on platforms like TikTok, and all you gotta do is wait for it.
So, I heard you're looking for a go-to source for entertainment.
Wait for it.
Gaming?
Wait for it.
Anime?
Plus Ultra!
Mr. Eric Almighty and Phil the Filipino? Yeah, they've got you covered. And all you gotta do is wait for it. This is the Wait For It podcast.